and you want to get a knife that's going to hold a good edge and stay sharp. Dull knives are very dangerous because dull knives require you to put force behind them when you cut. A sharp knife does the work for you and is far less dangerous.
Copy. So you're talking about keeping knives sharp. I'm assuming that's why you brought these things.
I think this one is the most essential. I brought this just as an example of something you can have in a kitchen that you have to determine if you need it or not.
Okay.
I no longer professionally sharpen my knives. I now sharpen them myself at home. I have that time, and also I don't use them to the level I was when I was a professional chef. When I was a professional chef, I had a guy coming in monthly sharpening all of my crew's knives for me, mine alone, and kept them very sharp. But this is a honing steel, not a sharpening stone. I hear many people call this a sharpening stone.
Okay. It's a honing
This
steel.
is a honing steel. So
Remember that.
when I have this knife as sharp as possible, or at the level of sharpness where I want it, that leading edge of that knife is as thin as it can possibly get. That's what makes it sharp.
Okay.
Well, that thinness is also the weakest point. So that edge just slowly turns over time. And that's what this is. This hones to true that edge back up. I'm not sharpening because I'm not removing any material off that blade. I'm simply taking that leading edge of that knife that's slightly curved,
To make it straight.
and I'm just pushing it back straight.
Okay.
So when my action of cutting is going precisely up and down, that knife is precisely, versus that slightly curved blade hitting and
Okay.
turning my knife and causing resistance.
Okay,
Now
so-
this is a sharpening strope. It's a piece of rough leather and a piece of fine leather, and after I stoned it, I would take it.
So that's what sharpens it?
That just removes that last little bit of a burr or an edge, just takes it off, that finest little bit of metal, and just causes that knife blade to be as true as possible and as sharp as possible.
When I was a kid, living in Kenya, there was this guy, or maybe a number of guys, I just remember one guy. He would come by and he had like a contraption. It was on wheels, but it looked like a, you know those old sewing machines that you can move with your feet?
Trellis or trestle sewing machine, yeah.
Yeah, so it was that kind of mechanism, and then he had a stone on, and he would come around and he would sharpen knives.
Sharpen knives, yep.
So what you're telling me is that dude has an empire somewhere sharpening knives for a bunch of, like, that's a thing.
He's removing material from the blade and sharpening knives. Yes, professional knife and scissor sharpeners are a thing. If you want to get your knives professionally sharpened, which is not a terrible choice, you could do it every probably 3 to 4 to 5 months depending on your usage of them.
Okay.
Find a local sewing shop and find out when the scissor sharpener is coming. They'll have it posted somewhere in the fabric store, something of that nature. They'll tell you when the scissor sharpener is coming. He also sharpens knives. You can bring it. They charge various things. They'll charge X dollars per knife. They'll charge you X number of dollars for your first knife and then less. There's places that charge per inch a blade,
Of the blade.
and they vary, but it's worth looking into because having a sharp knife, again, is very safe.
Okay.
It's not dangerous.
The sharper, the safer. So we're talking all kind of budgets here. I have my French chef's knife.
Correct.
Now, you've shown me a honing rod, and then you've shown me a sharpening strop. Strop.
Leather strop.
Strop. Now, leather strop. These are, okay, if I'm gonna have a knife, should I also have those?
Essential,
Essential.
not essential.
Okay.
When you purchase a knife, you're going to look at the brand of knife you purchase, and you want to purchase the same honing stone or honing steel as you purchased a knife.
Why is that?
Because this blade has to be at a certain level of hardness. This has to be harder. So this will have a Rockwell hardness in the blade. This will be a harder steel, because if I take a softer steel and drag that knife up and down a softer steel, that's going to be taking the edge off of this versus the other way around.
Okay, so I have my knife and I have my honing rod as part of my get up. And even as like an at-home cooking person, should I, because a sharp knife is safer, like, am I good to get away with a honing rod, or should I still call the local sewing
You
shop?
take your knife, you should sharpen your knife periodically. Before I use a knife every time, I will grab the honing steel and I will hone my knives back true.
Okay,
Now that may not be necessary,
Sure.
but from my days as a professional, that when you picked up a knife, you picked up your steel. They
Right.
went together. They
Right.
were in your knife roll together. They were always ready and available.
yeah, I think that's what I see in the movies.
You
gonna teach
get
me
in the
how to
habit of doing it every time because again, when I'm in the restaurant and I'm at work, efficiency is my key.
Well, that makes
That's
sense.
You know, if I have 4 hours to cut down a tree, I'm going to spend the first 3 hours sharpening the axe.
I like that.
You know, so
And you know what?
keeping that tool there readily and available and handy. My knives are always honed. My knives are always true.
Yeah, and even for for us, right? Today is a perfect example. Kids were going swimming. Mama had to make lunch lunch before they left, and everybody had to clean the house.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do my part. I had to work, but they had to clean the house, so she had to work fast. So efficiency goes not only in a restaurant, but even for at home.
Mm-hmm.
You're really rocking my world with the whole a sharper knife is a safer knife, but it makes perfect sense because then you don't have to willy-nilly. You can just let the knife do the work.
Well, and if you want to make cooking enjoyable,
Yeah.
you need to, understanding how the tools work and making it efficient, making it timed. Cooking is very much a timing game.
Yeah.
If I'm cooking 4 different dishes for dinner, if I'm cooking a main dish and then 3 side dishes or whatever,
Yeah.
my goal, especially my goal in the restaurant, was always I want all 4 of those to be done at the exact same time.
Yeah.
So that they're ready.
Right.
Or if I'm grilling a steak and my steak needs to rest for 5 minutes,
Right.
my side dishes, I don't want them ready until that,
Yeah.
So I'm trying to time everything. So my ability to keep my time and keep myself efficient in my kitchen is going to make it easier to cook. It's going to make it easier to clean, and it's going to make my just general time in the kitchen more pleasurable.
Okay. All right. Knives, honing steel, sharpening strop. What is this gem?
Okay, so this one's an interesting one. I brought this one because I want to discuss the aspect of what I call the unitasker in the kitchen.
Okay.
Before I purchase a tool in my kitchen, I need to make sure that I can use that tool in multiple manners.
Okay.
And so I brought this. This is called a microplane. These, uniquely enough, were actually wood files for Japanese woodworkers before they became kitchen tools.
Oh, that's
what
funny.
microplane originally. This is a bunch of very, very sharp blades, all directionally cut one way. So I can run my finger down it this way
Right.
and not cut myself off. I
don't
can't
wanna
do
go
that the
way.
other way.
Okay.
Now, why do I say unitasker? The actual job of this is primarily to zest citrus fruit.
Yes.
Lemons and limes. Anytime you're working with citrus fruit, the outer peel, the very outer color, has wonderful flavor. It has an amazing amount of essential oils and flavor in it. The white layer underneath it, called pith, has terrible flavor. So for me to remove that, I need something that's going to just cut that very top edge off. So a
Okay.
microplane. For me in my kitchen, I almost wouldn't buy that if that was the only thing I was going to use it for.
Right.
I can take a chef knife and peel that and then just use it knife fine it. But this is wonderful when I'm working with garlic. I like to chop my garlic as fine as possible, so I just take it on the microplane and grate it back in first, and it virtually turns it into a fine paste. Ginger, I do my ginger on a
I love
microplane.
ginger. I love ginger so much.
Nutmeg on a micro. You can use it for a ton of different things. So again, when I talk about unitaskers in the kitchen,
Yes.
you can get caught in the trap of getting the fancy thing that does one job, the
Right.
cherry pitter.
Right. Yeah.
It's wonderful. How many cherries do you eat that you need,
Right.
do you really need a device to take the pits out? Well, if you know that cherry pitter can pit cherries and olives, now it's and I'm eating both, now I can use it for, So look for things. Don't waste your money on the unitasker.
Okay.
Waste your money on
Multitask.
things that can make you more efficient in the kitchen and give you some.
Okay.
As you grow in your cooking skills and as you want to develop more, look for things that can make you better at what you do. So that.
Microplane.
The last tool that I would have in a kitchen, and this almost seems like a silly tool, but I tell people all the time, you want to be quick, you want to be efficient, stainless steel bowls.
Okay.
And I've got right here a stack of 5 identical stainless steel bowls. It seems silly to some people to have 5.
Okay.
But when I'm cooking, especially when I'm cooking for a large group, I may do what we call mise en place out all my ingredients. I may chop all of my onions, all my carrots, all that, and I'll have them sitting in a bowl. And I'll have one of these bowls with my kitchen scraps, and I'll have that. The reason I love stainless steel bowls is they're the easiest thing to clean.
Facts.
Very, very simple to clean. They don't take up any room in your kitchen. You can have a variety of sized bowls stacked, but I just love good stainless steel bowls. They're a quick, cheap kitchen efficiency trick.
Okay.
Is to have a lot of these around.
Okay. Now I think you spoke French a second ago. I think you spoke French a second
I
ago.
did say a French word.
Okay, that's what I thought. My mom was a French teacher. I guess she still is, but she's retired. But yeah, so I heard. Okay, you said everything. You like everything mise en place.
Mise en place. Mise en place is a style of cooking in kitchens, and mise en place for a chef kind of means a place for everything and everything in its place.
Ah,
I've got everything. When I was running high-end kitchens, each one of my chefs had a station. Their station was known as their mise en place. They would come in before their shift and they would set their mise en place. So you'd have 81 different ingredients in a cooler.
Yeah.
And when you're making, each menu item would have X number, but all your ingredients would be laid out and you would be able to go to them.
Yeah.
And we would even lay our stations out for the efficiency.
Yeah.
Well, this is the most common dish. Well, here's the 6 things that go in that dish. Well, this is the second most common thing,
Yeah.
and we have 2 crossover ingredients. So those 2 crossover ingredients are here,
Yeah.
and then the others are, so you lay your station out in such a way to make you mostly efficient. So when I'm cooking and I'm trying to achieve those timing goals of having all my entrees or all my dishes come together simultaneously, little quick tricks like this and doing all of your cut prep and doing all that. A lot of people read recipes and they just start at the top.
Yes,
And
that's
all of
me.
a sudden they get to step 4.
And
and
I've
step
already
4
put
requires-
all the stuff in there, and I wasn't supposed to yet.
So always read through your recipe before you make it.
That's
Have
good.
everything laid out and prepared in front of you where you need it so that steps as they come up and different processes can be executed properly. In my style of teaching, I rarely, if ever, teach a recipe because recipes it's a roadmap.
Yes,
I need to teach you to drive first.
that's good.
Just because I give you a roadmap, you can get there, but I need to teach you to drive the car first.
That's good. You know what I love about this, and like this is why we're doing this, is already just in knowing about very basic things. I am so excited. Like can we like right after can we just go to the kitchen? I'm so excited to prepare food. Okay, so what are we getting here?
Ice.
That's for the boiled eggs.
As for the boiled eggs, part of the mise en place process is we want to be ready when our eggs come out of the boil to stop the cooking process.
Okay,
Yep.
so this is
Ice water bath.
ice water. Nice.
For mise en place.
Mise en
This is
place.
what I've talked about. I've got all my products and my tools laid out before me. I've got a pot of boiling water. I've got my lid that's going to go onto the pot. As my water starts to boil, I want to add a healthy pinch of salt.
Okay, even though it has the shells on it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Why do we add salt?
2 things. We're changing the dynamic of the water. Water will boil at 212 degrees. Salted water is going to boil a little bit hotter. So I've allowed a little more heat and everything. It's going to give a little more reaction. That salt and that water and everything is also going to make that egg a little bit easier to peel. So I do not want to salt my water until the water has begun to boil a little bit, as the salt will retard and bring the boil down. So I want to wait until it's boiling a little bit, get my salt in there, and let the boil come back. Now, as the water begins to boil, I'm going to drop my eggs in.
Okay.
I would typically tell somebody to use a slotted spoon to do this, but I've been doing this a while,
You're
so I just stick my
professional.
hands in hot water.
Yeah,
Okay,
go back up.
now I'm going to allow this to come to a rolling boil.
Rolling boil.
I specifically want a rolling boil. Now we can tell the difference. We've got a light boil here. We've got some nucleation points from the eggs where they're releasing a little bit, and we can see the bubbles forming around the side. I want this to come to a full rolling boil, which means I've reached maximum temperature for that water,
Okay.
and then I'm shutting the fire off and putting the lid back on it.
Okay. So once it boils, you turn it off?
Turning it off, I'm putting the lid on it, and I'm allowing time to determine how I'm cooking my eggs.
Okay.
So now what I've done is I've created a specific environment that I can repeat every single time. The eggs, the water, the salt, I can take it up to that maximum temperature. I can stop and then I can put a lid on that pot. Now my cook time controls the temperature that I'm cooking my eggs to. If I want my eggs hard boiled, I can let them sit for 15 minutes. If I want them a slightly softer boil, I'm personally a 13-minute and 30-second boil.
Okay.
If I want a soft boiled egg, I can reduce that down even more. So I can adjust time now
Okay.
and no. So here you can see we're
we're
reaching a
rolling.
rolling boil
Rolling.
and everything.
Okay. Now, is that considered rolling
I
specifically?
want a little bit more there. We're
Okay.
getting really close. When I start to see that form all the way through here, I know
Okay.
I've got a rolling boil. That's what I'm looking for right there. So I'm simply going to shut the heat off. I'm going to put a lid on the pot, and now we start a timer.
Okay. Starting a timer. We'll be back. So if I want, I don't want it green.
This will prevent green.
Okay. But I also don't want it, running. You know what I mean?
You choose your time.
Okay.
Once you
What's the
establish,
time?
for me, I'm 13 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay.
This way of cooking eggs, what it allows each individual to do is determine where their favorite boiled egg is.
Ah, makes sense.
If I was making this for a bim bam bop, I would want a little bit more of a runny egg. I would bring that back to around 9 minutes and everything. If I was making an egg salad, I would want my eggs a little bit firmer. I would
Right.
take that up to more around a 14 to 15.
Copy.
Me personally, I like my boiled eggs for the whites to be fully done, for the yolks to be fully pulled together, but there still just be a little bit of a glisten to the yolks and everything.
Yes.
So I still get a little bit of that flavor. That to me is the perfect boiled egg.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we have our eggers.
And they've boiled for the 13 minutes and 30 seconds. So now we're going to take them out of the cold water.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do with this egg is I'm going to proceed to drop it.
Okay. And now you said the salt helps the peel come off easier.
The salt will help the peel. And once I've got it broken up like this, I'm getting it back into this cold water.
Okay.
And I am just going to remove.
Now, is there a reason why you would peel it besides just keeping the shells in one place? Is there a reason you would peel it in the cold water?
I like to peel it in the cold water. I feel like it helps the shell and the membrane come off a little bit smoother.
Because it's wet.
Sometimes it sticks to the egg, and we've all had that situation where we're peeling our eggs and it takes chunks of the white. That's about freshness of the egg. So there we go. That easy. You got a peeled egg. Go ahead and do one.
Okay. All right. And while I'm de-shelling mine, tell me about if it sticks onto the shell. You said what?
Typically, those are less than fresh eggs. The fresher an egg, the easier it's going to peel. And you can put eggs into water and everything and see whether they float or sink to tell how fresh they are.
Okay. Now I have heard of that part, but I didn't know about the peels. But in some cases, it's because of the peeler.
And you can put salt in there, you can put vinegar, you can put lemon juice.
Well-
You just want to change the acidity of that water just a little bit. It's going to help that shell break down a little bit.
Oh. Okay. And then give it a little dip.
Yep.
All right. Okay.
That one had a little crack in the deal. So now when we cut these eggs open, this will show what the cook was on the inside. We should have a nice, slightly glistening.
Oh, look at that. So beautiful and yellow, almost like
No
the butter.
green. No
green,
green
yes, no
edge.
green.
No, it doesn't look very ugly. And so now what you've established here is a consistent cooking pattern. And now you just adjust the time that you leave that egg in that boiling water or in that hot water with the lid on it to yield out the rates that you want. So what we're going to do now is, because we brought smoked salt and we want to try what smoked salt tastes like, we're going to season.
Uh-oh.
Now notice the height from which I season.
I see that.
That is purposeful.
Okay.
Yes, I do lose some out, but notice how I get an even, consistent coverage of the salt on there versus if I'm right over. So get up there and do a little seasoning. Sprinkle it on there a little bit.
Okay,
So
can I dry my hands off?
you may dry
here?
your hands, sir.
All right. So I know you seasoned it, but I mean, I'm just gonna. Can I practice a little sprinkle? Okay. Is there a special?
The floor is yours.
Is there a special way to grab the salt?
Nope.
Okay, and so the higher. Oh, look at just bouncing. I hope we can get some slow-mo shots of this salt just bouncing. Okay, so we are sazon, which sazon is actually a thing, isn't it? What's next, chef?
Let's eat.
Let's eat. Woo! Okay, do we cheers?
Cheers.
Ooh.
Not that chalky texture you get out of the yolk when you cook them till they're green.
It's,
It still has that creaminess. So if I was going to make a deviled egg, I would back this off to about 12 minutes. Keep some of that creaminess to the yolk. So when I mix it, it's got that robust flavor. If I was doing this for a ramen noodle or a bibimbap, I would back it off to about 8-9 minutes.
Okay.
So when I
Lower.
cut that egg open, I'm getting that runny yolk so it can run out into my noodles in my broth and make that taste so much better. So this is the simplest aspect of cooking I can show you where you control,
right.
but you have a process. The process, then you can make one singular adjustment
Right.
to yield out what you want inside that egg,
Right.
versus letting that egg just sit in that boiling water
Right,
and
yeah.
turning green and chalky, and they don't taste as good.
No.
This has a much better flavor. This has a significantly better textures. The white still has a little bit of a looseness to it. It's not too firm. Doesn't taste rubbery.
Right. No, it tastes really good.
And just in the very center of that yolk, you can see just a little bit of a differentiating color. And what do you think of that smoked salt?
Dude, blowing my mind. Blowing my mind right now. Okay. Okay.